Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Kelly. I'm the owner of Dogkind Training. We specialize in very fearful dogs and building their confidence. If you have a dog who often seems pretty distracted or even stubborn, and you're stuck in your training and you do have a sensitive dog, then this series of videos is for you. In the last video, I talked about signs that your sensitive dog might find something about your training session a little upsetting or unpleasant. And today I'm going to start giving you some ideas of things to try to see if they will help get you unstuck in your training. Distracted during training, what to do, part 1. This is a quick review from last week. If you feel stuck in your training with your fearful dog, and your dog often seems a bit distracted or disengaged, or like they're being stubborn perhaps, and they don't seem very food motivated, then this is for you. Anxiety can be mistaken for distraction frequently. Things like a dog hesitating to respond to your cues when often they would respond to them, or refusing, quote unquote, refusing to do something, hesitation to eat your treats, or inconsistent eating, looking away from you, like in this photo here on the right, or just turning to other activities during a training session, sniffing, scratching their ear, wandering away. These all can be signs that your dog is trying to delay or avoid or escape your training session because something is unpleasant to them. So what should you do if you've got a dog showing some of these signs, that your dog looks distracted, or maybe like they're being stubborn or worried, whatever, during your training sessions, and it's really causing you to stall out and not be able to make consistent progress? The first thing I would do is adjust your thinking if you need to, and assume that your sensitive pup might be uncomfortable, and that might be why they're doing these things. Not that they're trying to give you a hard time or that they're being stubborn, but something is unpleasant to them and they're trying to avoid it. Now, identifying what exactly it is that might be bothering your dog can take some detective work. I really recommend taking video of your dog, you, and the surrounding environment during training sessions where you're having trouble, and then review that video and look for any clues, like what happened right before my dog looked away from me or wandered off to sniff. I should mention that if there has been a recent change in your dog's behavior, or if you think for any reason that there could potentially be pain involved in your dog's hesitation to do some behaviors, please check with your vet. If your dog is in pain, none of the other adjustments that we're going to talk about are likely to help. Once you have video of a training session, try to create a list of potential problems based on what you see in that video. And if you're really not sure where to start, that's where these videos come in. I'll be giving you suggestions of things to try to change if you don't know what to try. And you'll just try changing one thing at a time so you can identify what the problem is. In this video, I'll talk about some of the simplest changes to make that frequently help if you've got a dog who is acting distracted, worried, or stubborn during a training session, and that's changing the physical context. There are several ways you can do this. One is to simply change the training location. So go somewhere the dog is usually completely relaxed if you know you're training in a location where they might not be completely relaxed. Or if you're doing training with objects or items like possibly a harness or a collar, try to change those items and see if that makes a difference. Use something different in your training. Keep everything else the same besides the one thing you're changing so you can identify if what you did actually makes a difference or not. And I'd recommend videoing again to see if you pick up any additional clues as to what's going on. Here are some more concrete examples of what I'm talking about when it comes to changing the physical environment or physical context of your training. A lot of you I know are working on getting your dog to be comfortable going out of the house for a walk. And perhaps you're running into the problem where your dog won't pay attention to you once they're outside, or they won't eat your treats. So what I might ask myself if I were facing this problem is, okay, well, if I move back into the house, somewhere my dog is totally comfortable, will they eat readily and pay attention to me there? If they won't, then there is probably another problem going on, and perhaps I need to do more training inside the house. But if my dog will readily eat treats inside the house and pay attention to me, that tells me that there's something about the outdoors that is likely too difficult for my dog. They may well be worried about something outside, and I need to back up my training and train in an easier context. So let's take a look at a video example. So here's little Pancake during an early going for a walk training session. He had already had leash training, so he was comfortable being leashed. But you can see here he's standing back from the door. He doesn't want to come forward. He doesn't want to go outside. You'll see you're going to get a look away there and some hesitations. So those are those signs that can resemble being distracted, but probably indicate anxiety. There he stepped forward and stepped back again. So he's telling me this is way too hard for him. So what do we do instead? We're going to make it easier. So instead of trying to get Pancake to go outside and do training outside, we worked indoors. I was actually sitting outside here, but throwing treats inside to him. And you can see he's starting to look much more relaxed. And once he did this several times, where he could back up inside and eat treats, then he started to try coming outside a little more. So that was an example of dog not wanting to eat or pay attention when outside and changing the physical location of the training instead of trying to train outside, training inside to make better progress. Another example of dog getting distracted where changing something about the physical environment might help is with harness training. If you have a dog who won't approach a harness and you're trying to get them to do harness training, it's hard to make progress if they won't come toward the harness. So some things you can try that involve changing the physical environment is, can you change equipment? Like, can you use a different harness or maybe practice with a collar or a leash instead of a harness? Or even practice with some object at first that's not a piece of dog equipment. Could be just about anything else. If you remember from last week, we looked at video of a young boxer who is avoidant of the harness, and the dog did look somewhat distracted potentially. So here's that example from last week where the dog was looking away, moving away, looking quote unquote distracted around the harness, sniffing around, and then walking away again. And here is some video of him later on with a different harness that looks somewhat different from what he was avoiding. And so obviously also the training had backed up all the way to the beginning and then worked our way back up again. But you can see that you have different, much more engagement here with this different harness. So that was a change to the physical environment that was helpful for us. So if you're following along with this series and you want to try to make some changes to your training environment to see if they will help your dog show fewer signs of discomfort and hopefully have them more engaged in training, the first thing I would do if you're not sure if your dog might be in pain is to make a vet appointment and ask your vet to evaluate your dog for physical pain. Then, as long as your dog gets the all clear and they're healthy, try the same exercise that you're struggling with in one location in an easier location, which might just be in the house wherever your dog is pretty relaxed. Or if you are doing training with some kind of gear or item, change that, use something different, and see if that makes a difference. Okay, everybody, I hope this was helpful. If it was not, next week I will be back with some more suggestions of things to try to see if you can get your dog more engaged in training. In the meantime, I'll be offering some free live mini workshops next month. That's August 2024, in case you are watching this video much later. If you would like to be invited to join the workshops live, please get on the wait list for Confidence Building for Dogs, which is at the link below, dogkindtraining.com/confidence, and I will also put the link below wherever you are watching this video. All right, have a great week. I'll see you next week.